Welcome to Your Opportunity Partner. I'm your host for this series, Professor Art Gogatz, and today we're going to talk about how you can get more money, how you can become rich. And we're going to start with a question. What's the best way to become rich? Now, before we get into the question, if you like this series and if you find anything here useful, please do subscribe to the channel. For a new channel, the old channel, it doesn't matter as much, but for a new channel, if you can subscribe, that really helps us a lot. So thank you very much for that. Okay, let's begin by talking about the worst way, not the best, but the worst way to come up with a strategy for getting rich. Worst way is the lottery, working hard, and hope. Now, what's the most common strategy that most people use in order to become rich? The lottery, working hard, and hope. So, in effect, the worst strategy is the one that most people use. Now, society, the way the world is structured, doesn't matter what country, is happy that you use such a poor strategy. I mean, look at the governments. They're the ones who run the lotteries. They're happy that you hope and buy lottery tickets and work hard. Why? Because you won't succeed in becoming rich. And why is everyone, society, the government, why are they all happy with that? Don't they want you to become rich? No. Think about it. Let's say, imagine you were rich, very rich. Great, nice, huh? You'd be really special. True. Now imagine if everybody was rich, equally rich. You wouldn't feel so special. What happens is you're only rich if a lot of other people are not. It's true. So, what does that mean? Society is really structured in every country so that the people who do the best, who have the best strategy, or who are born into it, they're the ones who succeed. And most of us, we do okay, we're happy, we have a good life, but we're not rich. Society is structured, and it's been that way forever, that only some people are rich. And the ones who are don't really want everyone or more people to be rich. Why? Because then they're not. Okay. Now, what do most people say is the best way to become rich? If you go to a search engine, go to Google, go to Yahoo, and ask what's the best way to become rich, and also go on AI and ChatGPT or any of the AI programs and ask the same question. I did just to check a couple of days ago, and they both, all the AI programs and all the search engines gave me the same thing. Start your own business, entrepreneurship. Okay, and they're right, they give you the reasons, because ChatGPT and all the AI give you the reasons for everything they say. They say that a lot of people who are very rich are first generation entrepreneurs. They are rich because they started a very successful business. Now, if we look at some stats from the U.S., and my students always ask me, Art, why are you always giving us stats from the U.S., especially on entrepreneurship? It's because the U.S. publishes more stats, more statistics on things than other countries do. So, if you look at the U.S., statistically, 72% of the richest people, first generation entrepreneurs. They're the ones who became rich, not because they inherited the money, but because they started a business that was really, really successful. The richest family in the U.S. is the Walton family, and they're the ones who started Walmart, which is a highly successful business. Now you can look at some of the other people, Amazon, Microsoft, and you look at the entrepreneurs who started those companies, very, very, very rich. So it's true, that's one of the best ways. But it's not the only way. And also, there's a downside to starting your own business that a lot of times they don't tell you. They say, oh, there's a risk. Yes, but what is the risk? Well, statistically, again from the U.S., half the businesses that start any year will fail within the first year. And up to 70 or 80% will fail within 5 years. So starting your own business is a good way to become maybe not rich, but at least wealthy. It's also a good way to go bankrupt, and that's true. And statistically, I used to teach entrepreneurship, I still do. If you look at the stats, in fact, they say that the average millionaire entrepreneur in the U.S., that's somebody who started a business and became a millionaire from the business, went bankrupt 3.6 times before they made $1 million. Which means most of the people who were successful starting their own business also failed with that business. You take a look at, in the U.S., Trump, who's the president. He's very rich, but he made most of his money being president, not really from his real estate holdings. In fact, he went bankrupt 3 times. So it's a good way, starting your own business. It's a good way to succeed. It's also a good way to fail. And it's normal because you start a business, but you don't know how to do it. And so you have to do it and practice, and usually not on the first attempt. Okay, what are other ways to become rich? Well, the search engines will also tell you, okay, invest smart in the stock market, in the bond market, in the derivatives, in all of the different ways that you can invest and turn that investment into a lot of money. There's also one other way that a lot of people don't think of. Marry somebody rich. A lot of single people, a lot of rich people. There's a problem, of course, with that. If you marry somebody rich, you may not love the person. There's this good statement. It says, to get what you want, you have to give up something or some things you also want. It depends on what is your priority in life. If your priority in life as a young person, I don't say young man, but as a young person, is to have money, then come up with a strategy that's going to help you to do that. And marrying someone rich is a certain type of a strategy. Now, if your strategy is to be happy or to have a great partnership, no, then that's different. So your strategy basically is how you achieve what you want. That's all. And don't let the strategy dictate you. You be the one who decides on the strategy. Now, one of the things, because we talked in the last video about help your hope. And I said, hope is wonderful. Prayer is great. But you have to help it. And then I gave some examples in the last video. Okay, well, let's push that a little further this time. Let's take, what do you hope for? Well, one of the things that everybody in the world hopes for is good health. Without health, you really can't do very much. It's something that is really, really important. And with that, you've got to be able to somehow help yourself. Because a lot of people wish for help, but is that really something that they can achieve? Okay. Question. How much preventive medicine do you practice? Most medicine today is crisis management. We go to the doctor only when we're sick. Doctor only treats what we go for. That's crisis management. Doctor usually doesn't get involved in why you have what the problem, an ache or something. They do if you go back and keep going back. They'll test and they'll work on it until they find. But if you go for one thing mainly, they say, okay, take this. Usually it's medicine that they give you to help, and hopefully that'll be enough. Okay, that's crisis management. But what is prevention? Well, prevention can be, how much do you exercise? How do you eat? Do you eat very well? How about stress? Stress is a really important factor. Does your job give you stress? Does your lifestyle give you stress? How about happiness? You go to a doctor, they don't talk to you about happiness. They talk to you about physical things. They don't even talk to you much about stress because they don't really know how to handle it. How about pollution? Well, I usually live in big cities. Big cities are polluted. Yet the countryside can also be polluted. You have to really see. Now, most of the time, people have a strategy for health care. You know what the strategy that most people employ? They buy insurance, health insurance. Either they buy it or they get it in from their job or they get it from the government. That's their strategy. Now I'll ask you a question. Which would you rather? And I'll give you a choice between two things. Would you rather get sick, and yes, you have insurance, or would you rather not get sick, and yes, you have insurance? Well, most people say, I would rather not get sick. And doctors all say one thing. It's easier to prevent you from getting sick than it is to cure you once you are sick, which is true. Yet doctors don't push preventive medicine a lot. Why? It takes time. It takes, the patient has to work with it, and there's not that much money in it. There's money because medicine, like education, like religion, they're businesses. So doctors, okay, when you go to them, yes, you have to pay them. Usually it can be quite a lot, even though you may have insurance, but still it comes out to be quite a lot. It's a business. So they don't push a lot of prevention. They don't talk about happiness. Why? There's no money in happiness for a doctor. There's no money really in exercise for the doctor. Exercise may be for other people. They can profit off that. Eating correctly, okay, but doctors don't usually get involved with that. The doctor is mainly helping you with medicine. Okay. So what is your strategy in health? Mainly it is get insurance and hope I never have to use it. That's your strategy. That's the strategy for most people. Get insurance and hope I never have to need it. Well, what are we talking about? We're again talking about a strategy that involves hope. And that's why I said in the last video, and I'm saying again in this one, hope is fine, but go and help it. Now, how do you help it in healthcare? Exercise. Oh, I don't have time, a lot of people say. You have time for anything you want to do. You have to enjoy the exercise. People who are professional athletes enjoy practicing. Now, I know a lot of people, they enjoy playing a sport, but they don't enjoy practicing, exercising. How about eating well? Most of the things that you like to eat, they're not good for you. Doesn't mean you have to cut them completely out, but the whole idea for weight loss and eating healthy is a long-term commitment. You have to change the way you eat. You have to change your relationship with food. That becomes then a structural change. And I've talked to you about that before. Oh yeah, I'll do a little change. I mean, diet is a short-term denial of pleasure, because eating is the number 2 pleasure in life. So in a diet, you're not eating what you usually like, you're eating less, and you're not eating the things that are not healthy but you love. But that's for a short term. And the reason diets don't work is you can do a short-term denial of pleasure, but it's very difficult to do it for the long term. If you really are overweight and want to lose weight, the only way to do it is you have to love the process of getting thin. Not, okay, I'll sacrifice and do it for a short term. No, you have to love the exercise. You have to love the eating differently. That's all. So you can practice preventive medicine. If where your job has too much stress, quit your job. Go to another. Or learn how to cope with bosses who are difficult or environments at work that are difficult. Yeah, it can be done. Now, hope, and that's basically the message, hope is really important. But don't just rely on it. Most people do. You can see we rely on it in healthcare, we rely on it for relationships, we rely on it for jobs as well. No. Hope always needs a plus. It's hope plus. And you have to be the plus. That's really, really important. Thank you very much for today. Hope to see you on a future episode. Thank you. Take care and bye-bye.